Today I'd like to make a little light dessert. I'm wanting something that's not real sweet, but that kind of reminds me of spring. The Easter flowers are beginning to kind of bloom out, and I like lemon. So today we're going to make a lemon souffle. Now we all know how scary souffles can be, but this one isn't too bad. We're going to butter 6 ramekins. Be sure you get those little corners. It says to use 2 tablespoonfuls of butter to do this, but I have just softened my butter until room temperature and holding it on the part that still has the paper on it. I'm turning it in around it. Makes it a little easier. Just a little more there. Okay. Then you can just fold up the rest and put that back in the refrigerator. I have here the sugar that I'm going to be using today in our dessert. And I'm going to take just, maybe a teaspoonful and put it in one of these. And I'm just going to turn it around until it's coated all on the inside. Pour what's left into the next one. Add a little more sugar. Get the bottom and then turn it around. And it'll stick to the butter. If it looks like you haven't quite got enough, just add a little more. Kind of turn that around and just continue until you have all 6 coated with the butter and sugar. Okay, and that's all just in there pretty good. I didn't make too much of a mess here. I usually leave the messes to Michael because he can make a million of them. Okay, I have placed in a pan over here. I have 4 egg yolks. I need a total of 5 eggs. I have placed 5 egg whites into my beater, 4 egg yolks into the pan. I'm just going to add then my cream of tartar, half a teaspoon, and I'm going to beat these egg whites until they're nice and heavy, where they're holding their peak. Now I've broken up my egg yolks in the bottom of my pan, stirred them around a little bit, and then I'm going to add 4 tablespoonfuls of sugar. And you have to continually move this around because it's nothing but egg yolk and there's nothing in the bottom to keep it from sticking. And to that I'm going to add 1/4 cup of just plain all-purpose flour. Now I have stirred this and you can see it's sort of a lemon yellowy look. I've heated in the microwave 1 1/4 cup of all-purpose milk, and I'm just going to slowly mix and pour that into that flour mixture while I have the heat on, and let that begin to thicken the entire amount. I can feel it thickening up. You can't see it because it's a light color, but I can feel it begin to thicken up there in the bottom. So you want to be sure that you keep that moving. Okay, as you can see, this has stirred down and has begun to thicken up. And to that, I'm going to add 1/4 cup of fresh squeezed lemon juice and 2 teaspoonfuls of the zest. I'm going to mix it up a little bit because I don't want to let it set too long on the heat. You don't want it to stick on the bottom. And I'm going to add 3 tablespoonfuls of confectioner's sugar. I forgot what it's called there for a minute. Okay. That is the consistency of a pretty good thick pudding. You can see that. Okay. Now I'm going to take that off of the hot heat, set it over there. I'm then going to add the amount of sugar that I had left out of 10 tablespoonfuls. Now I had put 2 tablespoonfuls in my ramekins, 4 tablespoonfuls in my egg mixture, and now the rest of that will go into the egg whites. And we're going to beat that until that gets nice and thick and will hold a good peak. Okay, let's check and see where we're at with those egg whites. Turn that off, lift it. It's holding a peak, but it's still not quite ready. So we're going to put that back down in there, beat just a little longer. Today's kind of a rainy day, and whenever you're working with egg whites, moisture kind of seems to hold it back a little bit. So just beat it a little longer until you get it nice and glossy and a stiff point when you lift that beater. Okay, I believe that's much better. Okay, I'm going to take about 1/4 of this lemon pudding mixture that we made, fold that into the egg whites. We don't want to put all of it in there because it's still warm and we don't want the egg whites to fall. Just going to, enough to where that you see that it's pretty well incorporated into the whites. And then we're going to add a little bit more. We're going to do this about 3 times until we get all of it in there. It doesn't take long. It's just a matter of getting it in there even. Be sure you scrape down into the bottom of your mixing bowl. Now if you want, you could have taken the egg whites and put them into another bowl and mixed it in like that, but why dirty up one more pan? And now we're going to put the rest in there. I think I'm going to get the rest of that out of there. There was probably a good 2 tablespoonfuls that hide in the corners. So you want to be sure you get it all out. Mix it all in. If there's a few streaks in there, that's not going to hurt anything. That will be all right. Now on some, you have to totally mix it, but with this one, not so much. All right. We are now going to put that into our ramekins. Michael, if you'll get me a big spoon. I'm just going to dip into that, and it's so light and fluffy. Kind of put it down in there. Don't work it too awfully much, or you work out all of the agent that will make it fluffy and stand up. And we're just going to fill the rest of these up. You want them just about even with the top. And if you get them over the top, you need to take a flat edge and scrape that where that it's nice and even. Okay. Make sure these are nice and full. And I'm going to work all of this in there. It almost seems like that's going to be impossible because we're going to have to scrape some of it off, but that's all right. That will give me a chance to show you what I'm talking about. All right. Now I have a little spatula here, and what I'm going to do is just kind of make sure that none of that is over the top. It's just like if when you're measuring flour and you're cutting off what you don't need. You need to go around, get each one of them kind of centered out. That's going to be way too much on that one. Okay, now one reason we're wanting it to be nice and flat is because any little peaks will cook faster and would turn brown. You don't want that, so you want to be sure that you're smoothing off those tops. An easy way to do it is just to smooth it off even with the little ramekin, but I'm not going to do that. All right. We're going to put that into an oven that is 400 degrees, preheated, and we're going to bake these for exactly 16 minutes. These are well set. A very slight browning on the top. Now the one thing you need to know is whenever you do these soufflés, you need to eat them quickly because otherwise they will kind of let all the air out and they don't look as pretty then. You can put a little powdered sugar on top of these if you want to, or a nice strawberry or raspberry glaze would just be delicious. But we're not going to let these sit around long enough for that. We're going to dig right in.